Hello everyone, and welcome back to Crazy Movie Recap. Today, we have a story about a young man who grew up on a farm and achieves what many thought was impossible. Please gather around as we delve into the details. At the start of the film, a narrator informs the audience about a majestic woman situated beyond the distant Blue Hills. As per the legend, a fearsome troll known as the Mountain King is said to be in a deep slumber within the mountain, preventing anyone from entering. What could potentially awaken him, you may ask? If the princess of the kingdom remains unmarried by her 18th birthday, the giant will rouse from his slumber and take the princess captive to marry her. This unfortunate fate would condemn her to a lifetime of servitude. To prevent this, the king has summoned numerous princes to his castle to assess their character and bravery. The successful candidate would earn the right to marry his daughter and save her from the giant. After careful deliberation, Prince Frederick is chosen as the suitable match for Kristen. However, Kristen is determined to evade marriage, and on the morning of her 18th birthday, she disappears without a trace, while the wedding preparations are underway. While attempting to flee the castle, the princess encounters Espen, who appears to be unaware of her identity. Their initial interaction is a bit rocky, as Kristen pushes past him, causing Espen to fall into the water below. However, they soon become fast friends, with Espen's outgoing nature shining through as he even offers the princess some food. Eventually, they part ways, and Espen returns to his farm where he joins his two brothers who are already hard at work. It becomes evident that Espen has not been contributing his fair share to the farm, and he receives a scolding from his father. As his father and brothers leave to hunt for food, it is revealed that all the food they had asked Espen to bring was given to the princess. Espen engages in foolish behavior and loses track of time, only to realize that a fire has broken out in his house. Despite his efforts to extinguish the flames, the situation is beyond his control. Meanwhile, a giant has awoken and taken Kristen to his realm. When Espen's family returns home the next day, they discover that their house has been destroyed, prompting his father to angrily refer to him as an ash lad. In the midst of their devastation, Prince Frederick pays them a visit, inquiring about the missing princess. Although he suspects that Espen may have information, the father interrupts and dismisses his son as a storyteller. However, the prince reveals that whoever can locate the princess will win her hand in marriage and half the kingdom as a reward. After Frederick departs, the father commands his two sons to locate the princess, as it is the only means by which they can rebuild their farm. Espen, on the other hand, is essentially disowned by his father. Thankfully, his siblings are not as unkind and allow him to accompany them on their mission. As expected, Espen ventures out alone to gather mirrors and pursue the sounds he hears in the woods, causing his brothers to abandon him. He encounters a witch who possesses a bargain. She will provide him with a map in exchange for his assistance, and she also discloses information about a sword that could aid him in defeating the Mountain King. Espen quickly puts the enchanted map to use and tracks down the location of the legendary sword. After giving in to their impulses, three attractive girls lure them away, and it becomes evident that it is a trap. Meanwhile, Espen witnesses his brothers being taken by the girls, and he joins them at a lavish feast, but eventually realizes that it's all an illusion. The appetizing food on the table is actually maggots and rats, and the girls are actually terrifying forest nymphs. Only Espen can see through the illusion, as he manages to rescue his brothers and escape from the traps set by the nymphs. After being reunited, the brothers set off once again on their quest to find the princess. During their journey, they decide to make a pit stop in a town at the insistence of Paul to grab some food and drinks. Coincidentally, they come across Prince Frederick, and one of his henchmen spots Espen at the counter, showing his brothers the magical map and the way to the sword. Frederick approaches them and offers a generous reward in exchange for the map, enough to rebuild their farm. The brothers are swayed by the offer, but Espen is skeptical of Frederick's intentions towards the princess. A fight ensues between the brothers and Frederick's goons, with Espen leading the charge. The brothers fight bravely, coming close to death, until Frederick accidentally causes a scene with a burly customer, giving the brothers an opportunity to escape. As the brothers believe they have evaded Frederick, one of them narrowly dodges an arrow. Despite their close call, the chase continues until they reach the edge of a towering waterfall, leaving them trapped. Espen devises a fake-out move, implying that he'll surrender the map before leaping from the edge, with the others following suit. Per expresses his disapproval of Espen's plan to marry the princess, mocking his naivety. He also scolds him for not fulfilling his duties and suggests they'd be better off without him. This sparks a quarrel between the brothers, but Paul intervenes to resolve the conflict. However, Per demands that Espen surrender the map to him. Kristen successfully postpones her inevitable fate by requesting a wedding dress from the Mountain King, giving any potential savior more time to rescue her. Meanwhile, Espen adds a bearskin to his collection of souvenirs, and the brothers venture into a misty and deserted swarm in search of the legendary sword. Their map malfunctions as they become separated when the fog engulfs them. Frederick reappears to the brothers while Espen finds the rumored pond where the sword may be located, unaware of the danger lurking within. After defeating the monster that tried to drown him, Espen emerges victorious with the sword, one step closer to fulfilling his destiny of taking down the giant. While the brothers are held captive and Frederick and his accomplices possess the map, they proceed towards the giant. Despite this, Espen manages to catch up and comes up with a clever idea to use the bearskin he picked up as a scare tactic. Unfortunately, Frederick and his team are not fooled, and instead capture Espen, along with obtaining the sword. Thanks to Per and Paul, Frederick now possesses the knowledge of how to use the magical map and has all the necessary pieces. Moreover, he confirms Espen's suspicion by stating that he is willing to kill the princess if she defies him again. As the night settles in and the rescuers and captives rest, the brothers find themselves regretting their fate and feeling hungry. While gathered around the campfire, Frederick comes up with a plan to rescue the princess during daylight hours when the giant is not hunting and is overconfident of his victory. However, their hopes are dashed when a horse neighs, which could be a warning of impending chaos. Frederick assumes it's Espen playing another trick on them, but the growls of the giant following the horse's neigh make them realize the danger they are in. Frederick and his accomplices flee for their lives, leaving the brothers behind to face the giant alone. The giant draws closer, but Espen manages to cut the ropes and they narrowly escape. However, their troubles are far from over as the giant continues to pursue them through the forest, and they witness two of Frederick's men getting caught instead. Frederick and his accomplices find temporary refuge up a tree, but the giant eventually finds them as well. After finding a hiding spot, the brothers decide to bring along some food, but Paul's decision is criticized by Per, who fears that the giant may locate them through the scent. Consequently, the food is discarded, but it rebounds off some trees and returns to them, resulting in their exposure. This eventually leads to the giant discovering their location and abducting Paul to his lair. After losing his brother, Espen experiences a breakdown and starts holding himself responsible for all that has occurred. Per notices his brother's sorrow and comforts him by acknowledging that he is extraordinary, which has been apparent in recent days. The brothers reconcile and unite to defeat the giant with renewed vigor, as any remaining resentment between them dissipates. Frederick reunites with the princess at the lair and pretends to care for her, but Paul is also present and reveals his true intentions to her. Enraged by Frederick's deceit, Kristen strikes him on the head with a sizable bone and then asks Paul about his identity. Upon mentioning Espen, the princess becomes hopeful and her face brightens up. Espen and Paul find the sword at the ruined campsite and collect fireflies in a jar to illuminate their way as they make their final approach toward the giant's lair. Upon entering the lair, they discover a maze filled with human bones. To prevent getting lost, Paul uses a yarn from the trinkets he gathered on their journey to mark their path. While navigating the endless tunnels, Espen unexpectedly falls through a crack, leading the brothers to Kristen, Paul, and Frederick. Utilizing a rope, they rescue their captive companions and commence their journey towards the entrance of the lair. Meanwhile, the colossal creature had settled in for the night, indicating a peaceful escape for our protagonists. However, this assumption was short-lived, as Frederick accidentally stumbled over the giant's tail, rousing him from slumber. Subsequently, the group found themselves being chased by the angered creature, forcing them to flee towards the mountaintop. With the break of dawn approaching, the urgency to reach the summit and seek refuge from the creature heightened. Frederick separates from the group during their ascent to the top, driven solely by his desire for the princess. Upon reaching the peak, Espen and the others confront a ruthless giant who is determined to capture the princess at any cost. Despite using the mythical sword to strike the giant, Espen's efforts prove futile. It appears as though our hero's story is coming to an end, but suddenly, he has a brainwave. Espen retrieves the mirror he had collected earlier in his journey and reflects the light off of it, blinding the giant. Although the giant persists in his advance towards the princess, Espen's ingenious ploy grants them enough time for the sun to emerge, which petrifies the giant. Kristen and the brothers arrive at the castle, where the king offers them a reward. However, Espen politely declines and only requests enough money to rebuild their house and land. This impresses Kristen, and Espen earns her admiration. As a result, he also gains his father's approval and becomes friends with the princess. Meanwhile, Frederick gets lost on the way home and ends up falling into a trap set by the forest nymphs. If you enjoyed watching this video, there are many others like it available. Take a look at our collection of videos that analyze various fascinating films.